What's up, guys? How's it going? It is Matt here. So we are going on a couple weeks into quarantine right now. We call it self-quarantine out here, but it's basically quarantine out here. So we're going on a couple of weeks of this. And right now, if you haven't started thinking about this before, you need to really start thinking about this now. So I want to talk about security right now. So let's get into it. Now, when the pandemic started coming around, when coronavirus started making its way around, I've never had a whole lot of fear for the virus itself. I've never had a fear about the virus itself. I feared people over the virus. I fear people over the virus. Virus, it sucks. I mean, right now in Connecticut, as of yesterday's report, 69 people there have been 69 fatalities in our state alone. And we're right next to New York, and there's a massive influx of diagnosed people in basically the counties really close to New York. We're basically a suburb of New York, I guess you could say, of New York City. That's what you can call Connecticut, right? So it's getting pretty bad here when it comes to the actual virus spreading. And pretty much everyone is staying indoors now. A lot of people just aren't going to work. They're working from home if they can. There's a lot of people that are finding themselves out of work. And there's a lot of people that came into this very unprepared and not ready. And they didn't take their supplies. They didn't take stuff seriously going into this in the first place. It's never been an important thing to them. Whereas, like I said, people like me, it's been on our minds for years. I've talked about it, and my older videos, I was talking about prepping. I've talked about it. There's banging because everyone's upstairs, but I've talked about it over the years. It's prepping has always been a big deal for me. I always make plans. All right, I always make plans. I always have supplies on hand to do that. But anyway, right now, after a couple weeks of being in, there's some people that have been in quarantine even longer than me right now. People are starting to realize they're running low on supplies. They are. They're starting to realize they're running low on supplies. And they need to get those supplies. They can't find them online at all. They can't find them in grocery stores. So if you can't order them online, you can't find them in grocery stores, you can't find them at convenience stores, you can't find them where you need to find them, and you're running out of it, and you're hungry, or your children are hungry, and you're out of toilet paper, or whatever it is, you need to find that stuff. It's time to start finding that stuff, and it's what you do. It's time. We got to provide for our family. We got to provide the stuff, so we need to go out. We need to get the stuff one way or the other. Now, I'm not trying to be a fearmonger, all right, or anything like that. But going a couple weeks in is when you're really going to start seeing an influx in crime, small crimes. Now, before going into this, the security systems that I personally had in my house was basically I had motion sensors. I have a dog that barks at anything. Everything's locked at night. I make sure personally firsthand everything is locked at night. I carry a firearm on my body 24/7. When I'm sleeping, it's not on my body, but it's available to me that I can get to within seconds. All right. And I have a place where my kids can't, accidentally sleepwalk in and possibly get a hold of it. It's locked up in a little safe where I can get to it. And something happened. My dog barked. There was a loud noise. Someone knocked down my door, broken the windows, whatever it is. Within seconds, I could stand up in my, boxers and grab my gun and be ready to defend myself. And my phone's right next to it. And I could be on the phone with 911. My wife would be on the phone with 911. Speakerphone, and our plan. We had the choke points set up where they would be, where we're going to take our family, where we're going to get my kids and all that other stuff. We had that all stuff. That was my security before that. But yesterday, we finally, after, last week, we decided we needed to get an official security system. And yesterday, the system is actually Vivint Security, really good guys, great guys. I had a really good experience with them. They came in and set up a full-fledged security system in my house. And literally last night, I slept better. I've never slept in a long time knowing that I had the alarms and everything else set up. But we were thinking about that for a while, and we just decided, okay, it's time to actually go 100% and get the security system. Now, when he was installing stuff, great dude. When he was installing stuff the other day, we were just talking a little bit. And one thing that he told me, he says, you guys really jumped ahead of this. It was a really good idea to do this now. He's like, because if like in Hartford and stuff like that, there's been a lot of break-ins lately. Been a lot of break-ins, and a lot of people are rushing to get security systems after they've already been broken into, and people have been raiding their houses, and there's been a lot of crime out there lately because of what's been going on. And that kind of confirmed all my fears that I had going into this. And I've talked about it in my prepping videos before. Is what basically is people are very unpredictable, and then when bad things start happening, you really see the true colors in people. You really start seeing the true colors in people. And what would happen is some people would start going out and, doing some people were dark in the first place, but they kind of kept it on, they kept themselves contained, and they kept themselves normal as possible, dark thoughts or whatever you want to call it, sadistic or whatever you want to call them. Well, now they're running low on supplies. It's time to start acting up those old fantasies or whatever it is. It's time to start being the person that they've always wanted to be. And right now, that is where it's just starting. All right, it's just starting. And like I said, I'm not trying to be a fearmonger. I'm a realist. Right now is when you're going to start seeing, especially it's going to be in the big city areas, the big built-up areas, is when you're going to start seeing it. There's going to be a lot more theft, a lot more breaking in, a lot more people breaking in. Some states just don't get it, like California. DC's releasing like criminals and murderers and stuff like that from prisons, and they actually make it so you can't buy guns, and it's just like, wow, it's I guess they got everything backwards out there. Anyway, I'm not getting into the California, but I slept good last night, knowing that I had the security system, that early warning system, all right, that early alert system that would wake you up in the case of emergency. And my entire house, where anyone can get in, is set up where no one can get into it, because we do have the supplies, but mainly it's my family. I have a big family. We all live in the same house together, and it's my responsibility. It's my job to protect that family. So I have that little peace of mind every day. But we're going to talk about a couple things that you need to consider when it comes to security. There's a few things that you need to consider. Now, the first thing that you need to consider is having some sort of early alert system. Now, not everyone can afford a security system. There's some that are really pricey, and there's a lot of people that it's just not something that people can always afford all the time. So not everyone, I'm not saying go out and rush out and go get yourself a security system. If you can, I'd recommend you doing it. But you need to have some sort of early alert system. Whether it's you have an animal, a dog or something like that barks at everything in the middle of the night, whether you stack up cans, all right, stack up empty cans on a wooden plank at your door, so if the door is open, the cans get knocked over, they fall down and make a loud noise. That's an early alert system. All right, that's an early alert system. Make sure your windows are locked, make sure your doors are locked. So the only way someone could possibly get in there is forcing their way in, so it has to make the loudest possible noises to actually get in. So you have some sort of early warning before they come in, right? So, there's professionals out there, not lockpick, and I'm not going to get into that and stuff like that. But you need an early alert system to start with. Second thing, you need to be armed 24/7. 24/7. Now, I'm no stranger to this. A lot of people that follow my channel, most people probably are no stranger to this. You arm yourself 24/7. Now, right now, because of, we have a lot of people coming into this that were kind of on the opposite end of things, like you say, politically. And they're coming into this, they realize when this happened that, holy crap, I guess I am responsible for the security of my own family, and I'm terrified that something's going to happen. So I need to go out and get myself a gun. I need to go out and get myself a shotgun, a pistol, something like that. There are some people, I wouldn't be surprised if they're coming to this video, that are starting to realize that now, and they realize that all their years of support of the anti-gun stuff and their anti-gun officials that they've elected in office, they voted for in office, all those laws that were on the book has made it impossible for them personally to get a firearm, or it's caused them to have a serious waiting period. So they're terrified that something's going to happen, especially a couple weeks into this. You need to be armed 24/7, but like I said, there's a lot of people that don't have that capability. I'm not saying you're a bad person. I'm just saying that right now it's a little late to be considering your own personal security and what you need to do. I carry 24/7, literally. I carry 24/7. If you guys have been following my channel for any period of time, you know that. This is my Glock 19 9mm. I carry this 24/7. I wake up in the morning, this goes on my hip. When I go to bed, I lock this up at night, and then I have another firearm with a light on it, my M17, available to me, right next to me, locked up right next to my bed in a quick little hand safe that within seconds I could open up, get my gun, and get on the phone with 911 and hold security and tell them to get the heck out of my house. I have that available to me. A lot of people don't have these tools. So I'm going to talk about a couple things that you can use. They're not ideal. but they're better than nothing right now, especially if you're on those waiting periods, you're waiting on firearms, or there's laws that are in place that you just can't get guns. You just can't get guns right now. So you go to any hardware store, any Home Depot, any place available, and you will easily find these. Easily find these. I have a couple types because I actually use them a lot, if you can't tell by the wear and how I had to sharpen the blade a lot. You notice a nice little curve that doesn't look normal. That's because I prefer using these to cut down trees than I do chainsaws. I don't know why I've always been like that, but I've always enjoyed using axes to cut down trees, and that is my preferred tool for it. So guess what? I always have an axe and a hatchet available to me. Anything like this, you could find these at Walmart. You can find these anywhere, pretty much. You go to any hardware store, possibly Walmart, you can find things just like this, right? A lot of people are laughing, oh, that's ridiculous, an axe and stuff like that. There's nothing ridiculous about an axe. There's nothing ridiculous about axe. They've been fighting wars for thousands of years. They've been fighting wars for thousands of years. They've been a tool used for thousands of years. One of the most used tools for just about any working man and woman throughout history, mainly the men, because that was just the history of how things work. These are a good way to go. But once again, this is up close and in person. And if you didn't have firearms until now, this is kind of what you're left with. But there's nothing wrong with having a good melee option. So these are very available. You can find these for home defense. Definitely not ideal. Definitely not ideal. Knives, okay, definitely not ideal. Kitchen knives, whatever it is. However, once again, like I said, not ideal because you have to be up close and in person. But it is better than nothing. And something like this could mean the difference between you living or dying, all right, or being seriously injured and finding yourself in a hospital. So these are available out in different places too. Walmart has knives. They have cheaper versions of this. Heck, I think I have one of their knives laying around here too. That's another possibility. So you have to keep yourself armed 24/7 right now, 100%. You have to have an early alert system. You have to keep yourself armed 24/7, whatever means available that you have. Third, you have to know what is going on around you. And I've talked about this in my prepping videos and stuff like that too. If, the world, a real apocalyptic scenario happens or something like that, you have to know what's going on, because when bad situations happen, bad people start doing bad things. And then the bad people start finding bad people like them. And then they start working together in groups as bad people groups, as gangs, which we're all very familiar with. And at times like this, those gangs start getting a little bit more active and they start doing more bad stuff because they can, right? Because they need to, and giving them the excuse to go out and just do the stuff that they like to do, which is the bad stuff. So you can have those people form. So you need to know if that stuff is going on. Like the other day, the security guard came out here, or not security guard, the security tech came in. He was installing their full-fledged security system. He was telling us about what was going on, how people are getting broken into left and right in Hartford right now. And Hartford's, I'm not that close to it. I'm close to it, but I don't live in it, right? So basically, he was telling me is right now there's been a major increase in break-ins. It's been crazy is what they've been doing, and that's why he said you guys jumped into this a good time, because the crime's starting to get kind of crazy in the cities and the built-up areas. So those groups are starting to activate, or it's just people that are realizing a couple weeks into this that they don't have supplies and they don't know how to get the supplies. So guess what? They're going to come and they're going to get supplies one way or the other. So you have to know what's going on. So you have to know people. You have to find out what's going on around you. You have to know what's going on in the counties nearby, the towns nearby. Okay, what's going on? Because if it's happening in a town nearby, then it might just spill over to the town that you're close, to your personal town. So you have to know what's going on. And finally, guys, you got to have a plan. You got to have a plan. You have to have some sort of plan of how we're going to handle a situation like this. How can we deal with a situation like this? You have to have a plan designed around your house, your apartment, whatever it is. Where would be the safest place for me to stand? Will I call 911? Will I hold them at gunpoint? Or where I stand between them and my family with my axe to protect ourselves? You have to have a plan. You have to have a safe place that you can take your kids, where if rounds started firing, getting shot at you, that they would not get hit, right? Because rounds go through things, right? You have to have some sort of plan. It's like fire drills. You got to have a plan for that. So I'm gonna end it with this, guys. So if you are only now just starting to consider security, welcome to the team. You are late. We are very late, but welcome to the team. Now, a couple things that you need. First things first, is that you need some sort of early alert or early warning system, whether it's a actual security system or something you set up, or dogs or something like that. Lock up your doors, lock up your houses. If anyone has to get in, it's either physically have to force their way in, or they have to sneakily kind of find their way in. That's when, it's a little difficult at that time. But you need some sort of early alert systems, like cans that are stacked up, for crying out loud, something like that, so it make noise if the door gets open. Second, you need to be armed 24/7, whether it's a gun or some sort of melee, an axe or a baseball bat or whatever it is. You have to have that available to you 24/7. And available to you doesn't mean in a different room. Available to you means within arm's reach, all right, or on your body, all right. You have to have that stuff available to you at a moment's notice if someone comes in, because it only takes seconds before someone breaks down your door and gets up to you, all right. You have to have that stuff available to you 24/7, where you could reach it. That's what it means, where you could physically reach it. Physically can reach it, okay? You have to have that on you 24/7. Next is know what's going on around you. Reconnaissance, right? You have to know what's going on. Pay attention, ask around. Hey, is this going on? Oh, they're starting to get broken in. Oh, the neighbors got broken in a couple days. Oh, the neighbors down the street got broken. You have to know what's going on around you. You do. So reach out if you know people. Find that out. Now, the final spot is have a plan. Have a plan. If you haven't developed one yet, a safety plan, a security plan, develop it now, because now is the time, and practice it if you can. All right, you need that stuff. Anyway, guys, if you liked this video, if you found the stuff in this video useful, like, share, subscribe. Tell your friends about me, guys. If you like the content of this channel, go check me out on Patreon. The link will be down below in the description. You can help support this channel. Remember, guys, it is our responsibility to take care of each other and protect each other. Peace.